The planet was strange. Its sky was a pale green, with two suns that hung low on the horizon. The air was thin but breathable, and the ground was covered with soft blue grass that bent easily in the wind. Kai stood carefully, his boots sinking slightly into the soil as he looked around. He was a human explorer, part of a small team sent to study this new world. Kai loved the quiet of the place. No loud machines, no crowded cities, just the soft sound of the wind and the gentle rustling of the grass. He was here to collect samples and check for anything unusual. It was an important job, but also a chance to be alone with his thoughts. Suddenly, something caught his eye, a movement near a group of strange, twisting trees. Kai squinted and saw a figure lying on the ground. His heart quickened. He ran toward the figure, careful not to make too much noise. When he reached the spot, he saw a woman. But she was unlike anyone Kai had ever met. Her skin was a deep shade of purple, with faint patterns that shimmered in the light. Her eyes were large and bright, almost glowing, and her long silver hair spread around her like a halo. She wore a suit that looked like armor, but parts of it were cracked and broken. Kai dropped to one knee beside her. "Are you okay?" he asked gently. The woman opened her eyes slowly and looked at him with surprise. I am damaged," she said softly, her voice smooth but tired. Kai noticed her suit had a long tear on the arm, and the small lights on her helmet flickered weakly. "I can help," he said. "I'm an engineer. I can fix your suit." She hesitated, her eyes searching his face. Then she nodded slowly. "Please. But be careful." Kai smiled. "I will." He pulled a small repair kit from his backpack. It was filled with tools and patches designed to fix the special suits their team wore. But this suit was different. It looked more advanced and alien, and Kai knew he had to be very careful. As he worked, Kai talked quietly to her. "What is your name?" The woman's eyes softened. "Lira." "Lira," Kai repeated. "I'm Kai." The silence stretched between them, broken only by the soft clicks and hums of Kai's tools. The blue grass swayed gently in the wind. Lira watched him carefully, her breathing steady but shallow. After a few minutes, Kai moved closer to check a delicate part near her shoulder. "Hold still," he said softly. Lira suddenly tensed. "You're too near," she said, her voice firm. Kai stopped, surprised. He pulled back slightly. "Sorry," he said. "I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable." Lira's eyes flickered with a strange emotion, something like sadness mixed with caution. "On my world, we respect space. Close touch is only for those we trust." Kai nodded slowly, understanding. "I respect that. I'll be careful." He adjusted his position, working more slowly now. "Can you tell me about your world?" Lira's lips curved in a faint smile. "It is far from here. A place of great forests and high mountains. But I was exploring when a storm struck. My suit was damaged, and I became lost." Kai looked at the broken parts again. "You were lucky I found you." Lira looked at him, her eyes full of something like hope. "Yes. Luck and kindness." Kai finished fixing the last crack and tested the lights. The suit hummed to life, the broken parts sealing together. Lira's helmet powered up fully, and her eyes brightened. She slowly sat up, still watching Kai closely. "Thank you," she said softly. Kai smiled. "You're welcome." Just then, a distant rumble shook the ground. Kai looked up to see dark clouds gathering quickly on the horizon. "The storm is coming back," Lira said quietly, her calm voice now edged with worry. "We must find shelter soon." Kai stood, ready to help her. "I'll help you. We'll get through this." Lira nodded, trusting him despite the strange world between them. Together, they walked toward the shelter of the twisted trees, two strangers connected by a fragile thread of hope and trust on a strange new planet. The dark clouds moved fast across the pale green sky. The two suns were hidden now, making the world feel colder and more dangerous. Kai and Nira hurried toward the trees. The strange forest looked like a maze, with twisting trunks and thick, curling branches. But it was the only shelter they could find before the storm hit. Nira moved carefully, her eyes watching the sky and the ground. Kai tried to keep up but felt the weight of the unknown pressing on him. He wanted to ask more about her, but he was careful not to bother her. Finally, they reached a small cave hidden behind a wall of thick vines. It wasn't large, but it would keep them safe from the storm. Inside, the cave was cool and dark, but dry. Kai switched on a small light on his wrist to see better. Nira sat down, crossing her long legs. She looked tired but alert. Kai unpacked his tools again, preparing to check her suit once more. As he moved closer, he noticed the way Nira's eyes followed him. When he reached out to touch her arm to check the repair, she flinched slightly. Kai pulled back, remembering her earlier words. "I'm sorry," he said. "I don't want to make you uncomfortable." Nira shook her head slowly. "It is not your fault. It is only our way." Kai nodded. "I want to understand. Can you tell me more?" Nira looked down, thinking. "On my planet, we have strong respect for space between people. It is a way to show trust. When someone is too close, it can mean danger or dishonor. Only those who are close friends or family can stand near." Kai thought about this. On Earth, people often stood close when they talked, but sometimes too close made others uncomfortable. "So, you want to keep space until you trust someone?" "Yes," Nira said simply. Kai smiled softly. "That makes sense. I will keep my distance." For a moment, they sat quietly. The sound of the wind grew louder outside. Kai could hear the faint hum of electricity in Nira's repaired suit, steady and strong. Suddenly, Nira spoke again. "Tell me about your people, Kai. How do humans show trust?" Kai smiled. "Well, we have many ways. Sometimes we shake hands. Sometimes we hug. But everyone is different. Some people don't like hugs. So we have to watch carefully." Nira's eyes lit up with interest. "Hug?" Kai laughed quietly. "It means to hold someone gently to show care." Nira smiled, the first real smile Kai had seen from her. "It sounds nice." They spent the next few minutes sharing small stories about their worlds. Kai told Nira about Earth's oceans, mountains, and cities filled with lights. Nira told Kai about forests that sang with the wind, and skies full of stars that told stories. Kai realized how much they were learning from each other. It was more than language or science. It was about understanding feelings and respect. Suddenly, a sharp crack echoed through the cave. Dust fell from the ceiling. Kai looked up quickly. "The storm is stronger," Nira said calmly. "We must stay still and be patient." Kai nodded and sat back down, careful not to get too close. But as they waited, he noticed Nira watching him closely again. He asked softly, "Are you okay?" Nira looked away for a moment, then back. "Yes. I am safe here." Kai smiled. "Good. I'm glad." Minutes passed, and the storm roared outside. The wind shook the cave, and lightning flashed in the distance. But inside, there was a quiet connection growing between them. Kai thought about the words Nira had spoken about respect and trust. He realized that being human was not just about strength or skill but about patience and understanding. And maybe that was why they had found each other here. After some time, Nira reached out carefully, her hand moving slowly toward Kai's arm. "May I?" she asked. Kai nodded gently. Nira touched his arm lightly, a small but powerful gesture. Kai smiled warmly. "Thank you," she said softly. Kai nodded. "Thank you." Outside, the storm began to calm. The clouds started to part, and the pale light of the suns returned. Kai and Nira looked at each other, no longer strangers but friends learning to trust. Kai thought, maybe this is the beginning of something new, something better. The storm outside had passed, leaving the world quiet and fresh. Drops of rain still fell softly from the leaves, but the danger was gone. Kai and Nira stepped out of the cave together, looking at the blue grass shining under the light of the two suns. The air felt different now, less heavy, and filled with a new sense of hope. Kai looked at Nira carefully. She seemed tired but stronger than before. "Your suit is working well now," he said with a small smile. "You should be safe as long as you keep moving." Nira nodded. "Thank you, Kai. Your help saved me." Kai shrugged. It was the right thing to do. They began walking back toward the place where Kai's team had landed. The path was unfamiliar to both of them, but Kai had a basic map in his head from his earlier survey. As they walked, Kai decided to ask more about Nira's people. "Tell me about your home. What is your world like?" Nira thought for a moment. "It is called Vira. The land is covered with large forests and deep rivers. Our cities are built high in the trees, with bridges that connect the homes. We live closely with nature." Kai's eyes widened. "That sounds beautiful. I've never seen anything like that." Nira smiled softly. "It is peaceful, but also protected. Our people value respect and balance." Kai nodded. "On Earth, we have cities too, but they are very different. Sometimes noisy and crowded." Nira looked at him curiously. "Do you like it?" Kai shrugged. "Sometimes. But I often wish for quiet places like this one." They walked in silence for a while, the blue grass brushing against their boots. Kai watched Nira's careful steps, noticing how she moved differently from humans, lighter, more careful. After a while, Nira spoke again. "Your touch earlier made me uncomfortable because it was too close. But when you gave me space, I felt safe." Kai nodded. "I understand now. On Earth, we don't always think about that. But I want to learn." Nira's eyes brightened. "That is good. Learning brings peace." Kai smiled. "It does." Suddenly, a strange sound came from the trees, a low, humming noise that vibrated through the air. Kai stopped, alert. Nira raised her hand. "Wait." The humming grew louder, and soon a small group of creatures appeared from the shadows. They were tall and thin, with glowing eyes and smooth skin that changed color like the grass. Kai froze. He had never seen anything like them before. The creatures stopped a few feet away, watching carefully. One stepped forward, its eyes fixed on Nira. She bowed slightly. "Greetings. I am Nira of Vira." The creature responded in a soft voice that sounded like music. "You return with a friend." "We watched the storm." Kai swallowed hard but tried to stay calm. "I am Kai. I come in peace." The creatures studied him quietly. Then the leader spoke again. "We sense your kindness. But the storm has damaged the balance of this land." Nira nodded. "I felt it too. That is why I was exploring, to find help." Kai looked around at the broken branches and disturbed ground. The storm had left signs of damage everywhere. The leader turned to Nira. "You have healed. But your people must work with ours to restore balance." Nira looked at Kai. "This is a test for both of us. If we fail, the planet may suffer." Kai took a deep breath. "Then we won't fail. We will help." The creatures seemed to accept his words, and the humming quieted. Slowly, they began to move through the forest, Nira and Kai following. As they walked, Nira explained more about her culture. Balance means respect for all life. When one part suffers, all parts suffer. Kai listened closely. He thought about Earth's own problems: pollution, wars, and divisions between people. Maybe other worlds faced the same struggles. He asked, how do you fix balance? Lira smiled softly. By working together, understanding each other, and protecting what is important. Kai nodded. I want to learn that. For my people and yours. They moved deeper into the forest, feeling the gentle energy of the planet around them. The creatures led them to a small clearing where a damaged tree stood. Its leaves were dull, and the bark cracked. Lira stepped forward, placing her hand on the tree. A soft light spread from her fingers, and the tree began to glow faintly. Kai watched in awe. He realized there was more to this world than technology or science. It was connected in ways he could barely understand. Lira looked at him. This is only the beginning. The true healing will need time and care. Kai smiled. Then we'll be here to help. Together. For the first time, Kai felt something deeper than curiosity or duty. He felt hope that humans and others could come together, learn from each other, and make things better. The sky above them brightened, and the two suns shone warmly. The blue grass seemed to glow in the light. Kai and Lira stood side by side, ready to face whatever came next. The forest was quiet, but the air was heavy. Kai and Lira walked carefully behind the glowing creatures, deeper into the strange woods. The plants around them seemed alive, leaves moving gently even though there was no wind. Kai felt both wonder and unease. This planet was beautiful, but it held secrets he did not yet understand. Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath their feet. Lira stopped and looked around, her eyes wide with concern. The storm was not over, she said softly. Something worse is coming. Kai's heart raced. He had thought the worst was behind them. What do you mean? Lira's voice was low. There is a storm of energy. It moves fast and burns everything it touches. We must be careful. Kai scanned the horizon. Dark clouds were gathering again, but this time they looked different. They shimmered with strange colors, blues and purples that danced like fire. Lightning crackled within the clouds, but the bolts were strange, twisting and swirling. We need to find shelter, Kai said, looking for a safe place. Lira nodded. Follow me. They hurried through the forest, the glowing creatures moving ahead like guides. The blue grass bent under their feet, and strange sounds echoed from the trees. As they ran, Kai kept an eye on Lira's suit. It held strong, but the lights flickered occasionally. If the suit failed, she could be in great danger. The energy storm grew closer, and the strange lightning began to strike the ground nearby. Sparks flew as the grass caught fire in small patches. Kai knew they had little time. Suddenly, a blast of energy shot past them, hitting a tree just feet away. The tree exploded into flames and smoke. Kai grabbed Lira's arm. This way. There's a cave ahead. Lira didn't hesitate. Together, they ran toward the cave, the energy storm roaring behind them. They reached the entrance just as a powerful bolt struck the ground beside them, sending a shockwave that shook the earth. Inside the cave, it was dark and cool. Kai turned on his wrist light and looked around. The cave was deeper than the one before, with smooth walls and a small pool of clear water. It felt safe at least for now. Lira sank to the ground, catching her breath. Thank you, Kai. You saved us. Kai smiled, feeling relief wash over him. We saved each other. Outside, the storm raged. The glowing clouds circled overhead, and the strange lightning flashed again and again. The blue grass burned in patches, but the cave walls kept them safe. Kai looked at Lira's suit again. Your suit is holding up, but this storm is stronger than anything I've seen. Lira nodded. It is the planet's anger. The storm is not natural. It is caused by damage to the land. Kai frowned. Damage? What kind? Lira looked away, her voice heavy. Long ago, my people mined too much from the planet. We took its gifts without care. Now, the planet fights back. Kai was silent. He thought about Earth and how humans often took too much from their own world, leaving problems behind. Nira's eyes met his. We must help the planet heal, or it will destroy everything. Kai nodded. Then we have to act fast. They waited in the cave, listening to the storm's roar. Kai tried to think of a plan, but the energy storm was unlike anything he had learned about. Suddenly, Nira reached into a pocket and pulled out a small device. It was round and smooth, glowing softly. This is a stabilizer, she explained. It can calm the energy, but it needs power. I cannot use it alone. Kai took the device carefully. Maybe we can connect it to my equipment. Nira smiled faintly. That is why you are here. Together, they worked to link Nira's stabilizer with Kai's tools. The lights flickered as they tried different settings. Finally, the device began to hum steadily, sending waves of soft blue energy into the cave. Outside, the storm seemed to slow. The wild lightning faded, and the glowing clouds began to break apart. Kai felt hope grow inside him. It's working. Nira looked at him gratefully. Yes. But this is only the beginning. The planet needs more healing than we can give here. Kai nodded, determination in his eyes. Then we find others. We bring help. Nira smiled, a light of trust shining in her eyes. Together. The storm finally passed, leaving the sky clear and calm. The blue grass glistened with fresh rain, and the forest seemed peaceful again. Kai looked at Nira. We survived. And we learned something important. Nira nodded. That trust and respect are stronger than any storm. As they left the cave, the glowing creatures returned, guiding them back toward the landing site. The bond between Kai and Nira was stronger now, built not just on help and survival but on understanding and hope. The journey ahead would be difficult, but they would face it together, humans and aliens, working side by side to heal a world in need. After the storm passed, the forest felt alive again. The blue grass sparkled with fresh rain, and sunlight poured through the gaps in the trees. Kai and Nira walked slowly, feeling the calm after the storm. The glowing creatures moved beside them, quiet and watchful. Kai looked at Nira. Your stabilizer helped a lot. The storm got weaker. Nira nodded. It was only a small step. The planet needs more care. Much more. Kai paused, thinking about the challenge ahead. How do we help more? What can we do? Nira looked at him, her eyes soft but determined. On Vyra, we believe in healing with nature, not against it. The planet's energy is like a living thing. It must be respected, not forced. Kai listened carefully. That is different from Earth. We try to control nature with machines and power. Nira smiled gently. That is why your help is important. Your technology and human will can work with our ways. Kai smiled back. Then let's find a way. As they walked, Kai shared stories of Earth's inventions, machines that helped farmers grow food, devices that cleaned water, and tools that reached into space. Nira listened with interest, imagining how these ideas might blend with her people's knowledge. Suddenly, Nira stopped. She pointed to a small plant growing near the path. It had soft, glowing leaves that shimmered with light. This plant, she said, is called Luma. It absorbs harmful energy and turns it into light. Kai knelt and touched a leaf carefully. The glow pulsed softly under his fingers. Amazing! Nira continued, if we can grow more Luma plants, they can help heal the land. But the seeds must be planted in places where the energy is strongest. Kai thought for a moment. We can use drones to plant the seeds faster. I have some on the ship. Nira smiled brighter. Your ideas bring hope. The two worked together, combining their knowledge. Kai used his portable computer to mark the areas with the strongest energy, while Nira taught him how to care for the Luma plants. As they prepared to return to the ship, Nira looked at Kai with gratitude. You have shown me patience and respect. You listen and learn. That is rare. Kai smiled. I think that's what makes us strong, our willingness to understand each other. Lira nodded. Yes. That is the true power. Back at the landing site, Kai's team was surprised to see him with an alien companion. They watched quietly as Kai explained what had happened: the storm, the damaged suit, the need to heal the planet. Kai's leader looked concerned. This will take time and resources. Are we ready for that? Kai met Lira's gaze. We don't have a choice. If we want to help this world and maybe our own, we have to try. The team agreed to help. They began planning missions to plant Luma seeds, monitor the planet's energy, and work with Lira and her people. Kai felt proud. The human spirit, curious, brave, and kind, was alive and ready to face new challenges. One evening, as the sun set and the sky turned orange and pink, Kai and Lira sat outside the ship. The air was warm, and the stars began to twinkle. Lira spoke softly, I did not expect to find a friend here. You showed me that humans can be gentle, even in strange worlds. Kai smiled. And you showed me that kindness crosses all boundaries. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the stars. Kai thought about the journey ahead: hard work, new discoveries, and the hope of healing not only this planet but the future of all who lived there. The night was quiet, but in their hearts, a new light was growing, a light of trust, friendship, and the power to change the world. Days passed, and the work to heal the planet began in full. Kai's team and Lira's people joined together with a shared goal to restore the balance of the land. Drones flew across the blue grass, planting Luma seeds in places where the energy was weakest. Lira and her people guided the efforts, teaching the humans how to care for the delicate plants and understand the land's needs. Kai often walked beside Lira during breaks, learning more about her world and its mysteries. She told him stories of the ancient forests, the rivers that sang, and the stars that told the history of her people. Kai shared stories of Earth's oceans, mountains, and cities filled with light and life. One morning, as the two stood watching the sun rise over the horizon, Lira turned to Kai with a thoughtful look. Kai, the planet is healing, but slowly. We need to do more than plant seeds. Kai nodded. I understand. What do you suggest? Lira pointed toward a distant mountain, its peak glowing faintly in the early light. There is a source of energy there, a heart of the planet. If we can restore it, the whole world will feel stronger. Kai looked at the mountain. It seemed far, but the hope it held was clear. We should go there, he said. Together. Lira smiled. Yes. Together. The journey to the mountain was not easy. The path was rocky and steep, and strange creatures watched them from the shadows. But Kai and Lira moved carefully, their trust in each other growing with every step. Along the way, Kai helped Lira with her suit, checking it for damage and repairing small tears. Lira, in turn, showed Kai how to read the signs of the land, the way the plants bent, the sounds of the wind, and the movements of the animals. One evening, as they set up camp, a soft light appeared on the horizon. It was the glow of the mountain's heart. Lira explained, the heart is a source of life. It gives energy to the whole planet. But it has been hurt. Kai looked at the light, feeling its warmth despite the cool night air. We will fix it, he said firmly. The next day, they reached the mountain's base. The air was thick with energy, and the ground hummed beneath their feet. Lira placed her hand on the rocky surface. A soft pulse of light spread from her fingers, traveling up the mountain. Kai connected his equipment to a small device Lira carried. Together, they sent waves of energy into the mountain's heart, blending technology and nature. Slowly, the mountain began to glow brighter. The energy spread across the land like a gentle wave. Kai looked at Lira, amazed. It's working. Lira smiled, her eyes shining with hope. Yes. The planet will heal. As they watched, the blue grass below began to shimmer with new life. Flowers bloomed, and the trees stood taller. Kai felt a deep sense of peace. This was more than a mission, it was a new beginning for both their worlds. They stayed on the mountain for a while, watching the healing continue. When it was time to return, Kai and Nira knew they had done something important not just for the planet, but for themselves. Back at the landing site, the team celebrated the progress. Kai and Nira shared their story, inspiring others to believe in the power of friendship and respect. That night, as the two sat under the stars, Nira said softly, "Thank you, Kai. You taught me that trust can grow in the most unexpected places." Kai smiled. "And you showed me the true meaning of respect." The journey was far from over, but Kai and Nira were ready. Together, they would face whatever came next side by side as friends and partners in a new world. The long road of struggle finally came to an end. After weeks of pain, danger, and endless tests of courage, Aaron and Cyril reached the Allied camp. The great gates of the base opened, and soldiers, healers, and commanders rushed forward. At first, no one could believe what they saw. A young human soldier walked in, weary and broken, carrying a wounded alien warrior on his back. His clothes were torn, his hands were covered with dust, and his face was pale from hunger and exhaustion. Yet his steps were steady, and his eyes held a fire that no one could ignore. Cyril, though still weak, raised her head slowly. She looked at her people standing in shock. They had believed her lost, left behind on the battlefield with no chance of survival. Yet here she was, alive, because one human refused to leave her. The camp grew silent. Not a single voice was raised. Everyone watched Aaron gently place Cyril down on a stretcher. His arms shook, his legs trembled, but he did not collapse. Instead, he stood straight, though his body begged him to rest. The alien commander stepped forward, his tall frame casting a shadow over Aaron. He looked at Cyril, then at the human who had carried her across mountains and through fire. His voice was heavy. "You carried her all this way?" Aaron nodded. "Yes. No one should be left behind. Not human. Not alien. No one." The words struck everyone like a bell. They were simple, but filled with truth. Many soldiers had left Cyril behind, believing she was already gone. But Aaron had seen life in her eyes and hope in her breath. He had chosen to fight against despair. Cyril's voice broke the silence. "Weak but clear," she said, "I live because of him. Because of a human. When even my own people left me, he stayed. He carried me when I could not walk. He gave me water when I had none. He protected me even when it nearly cost his life." Her words echoed across the camp. For the first time, her proud race looked at humans with new eyes. They had once thought humans weak, fragile, and unimportant in the vast galaxy. But this act of loyalty and compassion had proven them wrong. Strength was not always in muscle or weapons. Sometimes, true strength lived in the heart. The healers rushed Cyril away to treat her wounds. Aaron finally sat down, his body nearly giving up after days of struggle. But inside, his spirit felt lighter than ever. He had not saved Cyril for glory or honor. He had saved her because it was the right thing to do. As the days passed, Cyril recovered under the care of the healers. She often asked about Aaron, and when she was strong enough, she visited him. Together, they spoke of their journey, the storms, the hunts, the narrow escapes. Each memory carried both pain and pride. They had survived because they trusted one another. News of their story spread quickly. Across the Allied worlds, people whispered of the human who carried the wounded alien warrior when everyone else walked away. The tale grew into a symbol of hope. Humans were no longer seen as small or weak. They were seen as beings who carried something rare, an unbreakable spirit. One evening, the leaders of both races gathered in the Great Hall. The room was filled with voices in many languages. At the center stood Aaron and Cyril. The alien commander raised his hand for silence. "Today we honor a human soldier," he said. He is not stronger than us, not faster, not greater in skill. Yet he has shown a power none of us could match, the power of compassion, loyalty, and courage. Because of him, Cyril stands among us again. Because of him, we see humans as true allies. The hall erupted with sound. Cheers, applause, and songs filled the air. Aaron felt overwhelmed, for he had never asked for praise. He only wanted to do what was right. He bowed his head, his voice quiet. I am no hero. I only carried a friend. But those words only deepened the respect in the hearts of everyone present. For in his humility, they saw the truth of humanity. From that day forward, humans were no longer considered the weakest among the stars. They were seen as guardians of hope, friends who never abandoned others, and dreamers who believed in impossible paths. Cyril never forgot the weight of being carried across the battlefield. And Aaron never forgot the bond they had built in the face of despair. Together, they stood as proof that kindness could change the course of history. And so, the story of the human who carried the alien warrior spread from world to world. It was told not as a tale of war, but as a tale of the heart. For it was in that single act, refusing to leave another behind, that the galaxy finally saw the true strength of humanity.